basically a question as I was investigating, what's going on with AI in Zimbabwe. I found out about a government plan. So I found out of, sorry, that was So sorry, I have some double voices. I found out of a government plan called Zimbabwe's Vision 2030, which is the goal of making Zimbabwe an upper middle income nation, and that they see AI as a crucial tool for transforming the economy and improving lives. So I just wanted to know, like, your thoughts on this. Have you heard of this? Is it something that you're being talked about on the ground? And how does that relate to how you see it in your daily lives? And please introduce yourselves when you start talking, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and insights. Can you hear me? Maybe Aretha can start.
Hello everyone. My name is Aretha Otete. I am a medical student at the University of Zimbabwe. Um, this is a very interesting question, Miss Angeline. This is the first time I'm hearing about this, if I'm being honest. But well, sorry, please just repeat the question.
It's
There's a
okay.
thought that I missed.
There's often things online that people there on the ground haven't heard. That's why I asked if you had heard of it. It's called, let me just open it again. It's called Zimbabwe's Vision 2030, and it's the government plan to become an upper middle income nation, and that they see AI as a crucial tool for transforming the economy, improving lives. So my question is, like, based on your real life experience in, Zimbabwe every day, would you see, I mean, how do you see that plan, like, and the importance of how AI, how do people use it, and just any approach angle you want to give?
Okay. Well, considering that I've seen things like AI and digital tools being integrated into the school system more. I know my little sister, she's in primary school at the moment, but they started using tech in kindergarten. And I guess what we need in Zimbabwe before we can introduce AI would be to educate people on on how to use these tools and the importance of these tools because I don't see it being a fruitful plan if majority of Zimbabweans don't know what it is that we're being introduced to, what it is that we're using, how to use it, the importance of it, how will it benefit our economy, how will it benefit the population. So that's my takes for now.
Thank you. What about you, Nandi or Michael? Whoever wants to go.
Okay, I can jump in. So for Zimbabwe, there are some things that Zimbabwe is doing in terms of like ensuring that digital technology is evolving in Zimbabwe. For example, we have what we call Portras. And so what Portras is doing is that it's basically transforming some of the offices in Zimbabwe into digital hubs so that they can enhance digital technology and so that they can also bridge the gap and close the gap of of digital divide so that everyone is able to access AI technology. So those are some of the steps that Zimbabwe is taking. I definitely know that as a country, we are striving for that 2030 vision. For example, Zimbabwe is also working towards integrating AI and agriculture. It's working towards integrating AI and agriculture, AI and healthcare, AI and finance. For example, with AI and agriculture, I know there is, I know that Zimbabwe is trying to okay, so there's an AI model which predict the climate change. So they're trying to also use that for the agricultural system in Zimbabwe. So I do definitely agree that we aren't there yet as a nation, but Zimbabwe is definitely taking the proper steps to ensure that we're integrating technology into the community. So that those are just some of the examples.
My name is Michael Tete. I'm a student at Aruba Jesuit University, and I I'm doing a course in virtual reality. My take on this is that based from what others have said, Zimbabwe is working towards integrating AI into greater ventures, into more things that can be guided to achieve more as a country and as individuals that represent the country. But I think if we're looking to use AI only and not do background research, if you guys know what I mean. If you not do background research on how we can better improve it, like let's go to AI for the ideas, but let's not try and make AI the main focus for our toolkit. It wouldn't like get you wouldn't get the results you want if you are going to trust everything that AI says. There are some AI and toolkits that say that this information may be wrong. So it's not always best to rely on everything that you're given by AI. And I would say, as times have gone, AI was always there to guide people to do what they want. For example, there's this video that I ran into the other day where there was a guy who was saying there's a difference between using AI now and AI 10 years ago. AI now, it's AI 10 years ago, sorry, it's a guy who wanted to write a story on his family. So he's like, I want to write an article on my family. And then AI gave him the main topics that he can talk about. And then he did the rest of the work himself, integrated his own way of writing and integrated his own words. And he did all sort of stuff. But AI now, I want to write an article about my family. My dad is this, my dad does this, my mom does this, my sister does this, my brother does this. And you want AI to do everything for you. And then when you don't get the results you want, you keep going back and you keep feeding it more and more personal information that I would believe is not best to always put your information out. So yeah, if for certain things to be achieved, you need to use it as a guiding, not as your main target, not to just say, I'm using AI to improve the economy of Zimbabwe. How can I do it? And then you keep going back to AI to feed it more and more and more about your situation instead of just getting like guidelines on how to do a certain problem. If you want to improve the roads, you ask it about that and you leave it at that. Then you see best ways to fit in what AI is giving you with what you have.
That's a really good point about the personal information, actually. How do you see the people, or all of you see the people around you using AI or not, like the young people?
I'll speak personally for when AI, Meta AI, and all those came in first, I was one of those that like you want what it can guide you with, but you also wanted to do part of the work for you. So I was one of those that would look for it too, but I wouldn't give it like personal details. So that's why I gave a topic like my family, where I can't go and give AI what my dad's name, my mom's name, my sister's name, and then tell it that no, my sister learns here, my dad does this, my mom does this. So some information I'll keep it to myself, but I wanted to like give me a broad paragraph or a broad topic on how I can structure my own essay. But I've seen that sometimes it's not as best to do that because AI it just gives you a general thing. Sometimes you need to go more into depth. Where I would say Google, like for example, Google and AI. AI gives you the very brief information, and Google gives you a lot of information that you can break down in your own way. So For some stuff, I do use AI, but more for the counter tips on how I can work my way around a certain topic. And then for the stuff that needs more depth, I would go to Google and I would ask Google. Then it gives me the references and I shorten it down through writing down and stuff like that. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, just to comment on what you've said, I actually do agree with you in terms of personal information on AI. And what I've noticed is that the young generation is using AI as for emotional support, which is very unhealthy actually, because even in my own experience in my community, a lot of people around me, they're always talking about how they're opening up to AI. They're telling AI all this personal information about how they trust AI. They're giving it too much. They're giving it too much trust because they're talking about how they trust AI and how the AI is so reasonable, and basically using AI and these AI chatbots as therapy sessions. So I think that is actually a very big problem when it comes to our community and when it comes to just the young people in general, their interaction with AI. I think it's becoming very unhealthy. And because of this also, that's where the privacy and data concerns are raised, because now we don't know what people are feeding AI and what AI is going to do, what these platforms are going to do with that information. We don't know how long it's going to be kept on that platform. And then so because of that, it then raises ethical and legal issues as to what's really going on with the information, the private information that people are divulging on these systems, what is happening and what's going to happen to that information. So I think that that was a very good point. That you raised, Michael. And yeah, that's my opinion on the matter.
Sorry to take you guys back. Michael, you mentioned that with Google versus AI, when you're searching, you face issues of Google gives you a broader base of information and AI just pinpoints exactly what you need. My question now to both of you is, how do you guys feel about the misinformation or lack of substantial information without proper resources, without actually knowing how if this information is authentic? Because I faced that problem with sometimes when I was doing my write-ups for some of my lab reports, and it got to a point where I had to say, specify your sources so that I can go and check myself. But doesn't that feel like AI is giving you work also? I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
Okay, so I face the same problem actually. Like I mentioned, I'm a law student. So sometimes even when I do ask AI specific things, it doesn't give me proper material. For example, we deal with a lot of case law, a lot of case studies. So AI makes up some of the cases, so you can't really rely on it. And I think that's, to be honest, I think it's a good thing. Why? Because I feel like if we are too reliant on AI, it becomes dangerous also, because what are we teaching ourselves and our minds? Like, we become lazy and there's a lack of critical thinking, because if you rely too much on AI, like a lot of people right now, for example, a lot of people, they get questions from their lecturers or they get questions for assignments, and then they just input the whole question on AI and just tells AI, give me a critical analysis of this, and then it comes back exactly as, and so we don't have that chance as humans to actually put our minds to the test, to critically think about these things. And yeah, so I think that over reliance creates complacency, and I don't think it's a good thing. So I think sometimes if it gives you wrong things, and then you have to take that extra step of actually thinking and finding solutions on your own. I think, I think that creates a balance to it. But obviously, yes, like I do agree with what you're saying to a certain extent, that it is disadvantages that you are relying on it and it gives you false information. So I do, to a certain extent.
I also agree with the point that we can't rely too much on AI. But as for me, how I work my way around it is growing up, I've realized growing up in an era of using Google more than AI was kind of beneficial because you can't, for example, primary school, it was easy to use AI. You could say 5 plus 5 and get 10. You don't need to go and do background research. Why is it 10? Where did you get that answer from? But as you go into high school and university, the math gets a little more complicated. You start to do things that need more depth, things that actually need you to understand what you're doing. So you need those. That's when you go to Google and you ask it for a certain topic. For example, you could say vectors, and then it gives you examples, it gives you ways to work it out. If you don't catch on with how Google is giving you, and then you can go on YouTube where you search up vectors and there's a guy who can explain it well and integrate how you want to explain, how you want to understand what you're doing with what he's saying. But I would say that AI, it's only beneficial for certain things. I wouldn't say that it's always the right answer. But I would say that Google is more reliant on on the depth of what you're searching up. So it really does depend on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve at the end of the day. For me, personally, virtual reality, I there's only so much you can get from AI and from Google because it's something that the world is still trying to integrate into. So that's when you have to find context and you make your connections in order to get better results and better information based off what you're doing. It's also important to know the people that are working in your fields. For example, with law, I'm pretty sure there's certain people where you go and you say that these guys are usually their cases usually add up and they usually win and they convince the jury. With medicine, I'm pretty sure there's also companies where you be like, no, these guys are, unfortunately death happens, but these guys they try to avoid it as much as possible and their sorry, slip of the tongue, their feedback is always positive. So I would say connections are also very important in today's world. It's important to know who works in your organization. It's important to know who works in your space so that you can also go back to them because it's always easier to hear someone else's backstory and personal experience because we can all relate to something that we've all said. But it's not easy to relate to AI, which just gives you general information and it doesn't actually give you the depth that you need in order to satisfy or meet the requirements that you're trying to do.
What
Okay,
about
thank you.
the, no, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Miss Angeline. I just wanted to say thank you guys for your input.
I wanted to ask you about the digital divide in Zimbabwe because we're talking about AI, but like what do you have a feel for how much of the population has access to it even? Like how many use it, and do you see like imbalances even within your generation for this reason?
Personally, in my class, a lot of the people struggled. Well, we did a module called, okay, I don't remember the exact name, but it was basically about ICT, understanding the digital age, digital wellness. And a few people struggled. They admitted that the first time that they started using AI was actually in first year of varsity. I've been using AI since I was in high school. So I had a bit of an understanding, and also my mom being in the field, she helped us gain a bit of understanding. So there's definitely a bit of, okay, not a bit, a huge divide. that we can see even within our classrooms, a population as small as our classrooms. So I can just imagine what it's like for other children throughout Zimbabwe, because I believe that most of Zimbabwe's population is the youth. And I have heard from some of my friends as well that their relatives don't even know about AI. I know people had major concerns when I think you guys remember how WhatsApp and all our other social media platforms didn't used to have AI integrated into them. And when that was introduced, a lot of people panicked about, okay, what is this? Well, how do we use this? And issues like that. So I don't know how you guys take it. I personally feel like the other issue with it's not just a divide between in the population, but also because how AI is, it doesn't really cater to us as Africans, in my opinion, because I have seen some issues like with the languages that we speak. It doesn't have those languages in its programming, I believe, because I've tried to speak to it in Shona. I ran an experiment once speaking to it in Shona, and it didn't recognize the language. And for me, that just woke me up about, okay, there's clearly a bit of a gap here in how much they've covered the people that started with the AI, how much they've managed to integrate into their systems. So that's another point that I could just throw in there.
With me, it goes back to when Nandi said that AI has made us lazy. So I agree with that, that we don't want to do the necessary background checks in order to in order to understand why this information was given to us in this format, or why we got certain information when we asked the AI this question. Um, for me, my friends and I, from our personal experiences, this it goes back to maths. There's this maths question we had. So we took a picture, scanned it, and we sent it to an AI. We sent it to 3 different AIs, and we got 3 different answers. And now and the moment we just play picky ponky, which one is the best answer we can get, in order to understand why it's working around this. It goes, so it can be like in steps. Step 1, okay, all of the AIs are saying the same thing. Step 2, now 2 AIs are saying different things. Step 3, all of them are now in a whole different path, whole different answer. So AI has made us lazy. We don't want to do the background checks. We don't want to further investigate where this information came from, sorry. And then also with the WhatsApp AI, how it has been integrated. WhatsApp is now being used to answer everything you needed to do. People now rely on that WhatsApp Meta AI to just get the quickest information as possible. So if you're trying to research medicine that you're supposed to take, or how the negative effects of it and the positive, you're just going to go on WhatsApp instead of going to Google or going to ask a professional doctor. You're going to WhatsApp, you're asking, I have a headache, what painkillers can I take? It gives you the name of the painkillers. You get the name of the painkillers. Now you're asking it, what are the advantages of taking these painkillers and what are the disadvantages? And you just trust everything that AI says. So by the time you go to the pharmacy, you're not even trying to hear what they think is best for you, because there are painkillers for general stuff. And then there's painkillers that also are used to heal specific things. I would like to believe. And then the, my last point would be that for group research, for things that are to do with educational purposes, we need to find our way back to using Google, get the links, and then do the research ourselves. Because my friend and I we had this discussion once where you are saying, what's the point of going to school if you can just ask AI to do what someone has been working for years to do? For example, writing an article, you can't, to be general, someone would rather just ask AI for the article, put it down on a Word, and then print it and find someone who can publish it. Better yet, if you can publish it yourself, rather than asking someone to write your, for example, a biography or back to an article, write you that, and then you pay another person to publish it, and you pay another person to print, where you can now just do most of these things on your own and you spend as little as possible. So we do rely on AI a bit too much. We do rely on these toolkits to just do everything for us. We don't want to do the necessary hard work that is needed in order to fulfill what we want from it, the information that we want from it. So yeah, that's my take on this.
Michael, I've got a question. So you mentioned that you want to go back to the Google, this, that. So do you not like the fact that AI is making our lives easier? You want everything to be hard.
No,
I just
not necessarily hard. It's just nice when you research and you get one answer from everywhere. Back to my example where we researched a maths question, 3 different AIs, 3 different answers. So if we rely on AI, had it been someone else could have just used one AI, took what they got from there and put it straight down. And of which we got the question wrong, by the way, in the final result. But what I was saying is that it's easier to research, understand what you're doing, understand what you're trying to research, read about it a little bit more. If you don't understand from reading, you can go on YouTube, try and understand different ways. There's different ways to learn. There's different ways people understand certain stuff. So yeah, I think it was always easier when you could go to Google, you get the same stuff. You go on YouTube, you get the same stuff. Not you go on Meta AI, you get one answer. You go on another AI, you get another answer. You go on a different AI, you get another answer. Sorry. Does that make
Yes.
sense? Yeah.
Yes, it does. So my question to both of you is like, what are the challenges in today's online world? Apart from, obviously, we've already mentioned the digital divide. What other problems do you think, what other challenges do you think we're facing in the digital world?
Like you both have mentioned in great detail, dependency on AI is a very huge problem we are seeing in people our age. No one wants to think for themselves, to put it bluntly. People want to just have AI doing everything for them. Also, what I mentioned before about misinformation, we can't just take everything we're receiving as the word. We also have to put in a bit of work to think for ourselves, okay, what I'm looking at here, is this relevant? Is it correct? Also, can I trust the sources? And then another issue that I've seen in myself is a decrease in my attention span when it comes to I think the term is I am chronically online. So now my attention span is really bad. I spend most of my time, if I'm not on TikTok, I am on YouTube watching school-related videos, and those ones I put them in 2 times speed because I'm like, okay, we want to cover as much as possible within an hour. So let's just cheat code. Let's speed everything up. Of which now I'm seeing that I can pay attention to an hour-long lecture if I'm listening back on my lectures, because I record my lectures from time to time, or if someone sends me something that's also educational and there's no option to speed it up or anything, I can't sit there for 30 minutes actually even. It's really hard to just focus and be like, okay, this is what we're looking at for 30 minutes. We can do this. And then also, whilst we're still on the screens, increase screen time activity. Again, like I said, I'm chronically online. All my things are online. My novels are online. My school books are online. The papers that we research, we get them offline. off the internet, we also talk to other people, communicate with every other person in our lives online. There's just a huge dependency on the online world. Do you understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think about mental health? How do you think it's being affected by the online?
Well, I think when it comes to mental health, there's a bit of issues of like cyberbullying
Yeah.
that came with online, and it's becoming a huge problem. I remember I took a gap year last year, and we had a case where children were bullying each other online, and it got to the point where parents had to get involved. That was concerning to watch, to hear the things that people were saying, to see what was being shared by these children, the things that they were generating, because some of them would generate pictures. They just send AI a picture of the person. They give like some kind of description of the thing they want to generate, and then they get that, they share it among their classmates, and that was just, yeah, that was a mess. And also, you mentioned earlier how people our age are relying on AI tools to counsel
Emotional.
us.
Yeah.
Yes, that's concerning because how can you speak to an AI, something that is not living, something that doesn't have a conscience, something that can't relate to humans in a way that you need when you're suffering emotionally? Like, I just don't understand that one. And also, recently I came across something else, a video that was just saying Elon Musk apparently is working on an AI chatbot girlfriend. And
Mhm.
that's concerning to me because now people are seeking companionship online as well with something that's not real. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's disturbing to think about. And forget the children that will be using that. There's a grown man. I won't say his name. I also saw another video about this. He had an AI girlfriend, but mind you, he had a wife and a child. His wife was aware that he was, I want to say cheating because it felt like cheating to me. He was cheating on her with AI. So I don't know how you guys feel about all these issues that we're seeing. Yes, there are benefits, but for me, it feels like there's more problems that come with all this digital age stuff than actual benefits that I'm seeing more and more today.
Yeah, I agree with you. And even the example that you mentioned, you see that it's destroy even the social construct of the community. It's being destroyed by some of how people are choosing to use AI. And even when we mention the emotional attachment aspect, there's a case of a young man, a 21 young man who was a 21-year-old young man who was encouraged by a chatbot to kill the queen, right? And he was actually arrested for it. It happened in, I think, I don't remember, Windsor Castle or something. I think so. So that's where it happened. So you see that AI is also very detrimental to vulnerable people. And by vulnerable people, I mean people with mental health issues, people with depression, with loneliness, because then they confide in AI and then they're thinking, oh, this is my friend. This is, they're emotionally attached to it. And then, it breeds very detrimental effects to it. And so, yeah. So, what do you think? So that I think that then takes us to the aspect of improving digital well-being. I don't know if Michael has anything to say on that or on the previous things we discussed.
Yes, I do. This also goes back to the part where you're asking me why I would prefer people go back to the era of using Google. It's because we never used to fall in love with Google. You never hear a story where a child went and told Google that someone is bullying me, and Google told it to go kill that person that is bullying them. So it's always, it seems like AI is helping you in the moment, but it's really taking away the humanity within you. It's taking away all the things that make being human normal. Like it's okay to feel a negative way about someone, but it's not okay to go and ask something that has no feelings whatsoever. What should I do? And it gives you possible answers, and you actually follow through those possible answers. Sometimes that's why there's people who are there as life skills directors who can you can go talk to and you can go relate to and be like, I'm going through this, how can I handle it? And they find you the next best alternative of how to deal with certain situations. And then in terms of digital, in terms of how people are integrating it, yeah, it is more negative than positive because of such examples. And I think AI should have like an restricted age gap, because you can't expect a 7-year-old's mind is really wild, and then you give a 7-year-old Meta AI where the answers come in a snap. It takes away the creativity of that 7-year-old. For example, where you can ask AI to draw things for you, it takes away the creativity of going outside, drawing on the sand, drawing on paper, even those beautiful drawings that 7-year-olds make. That's just pure creativity. That's humanity. It brings out the expression. That's me with mom. We're going shopping and that. So yeah, AI has taken away the whole point of being able to do your own knowledge. It has taken away the creativity that human beings have. And there's this one guy who once said, if the best creators, if the best inventors, for example, the guy who invented the bulb, if he had AI in his time, we wouldn't have bulbs that work the way they work. We'd have them with a few malfunctions. We'd have them with a few things that don't work the way they're supposed to. It's because as a human, you have your own self motivation. But AI, if you don't get what you want, it's not going to motivate you to want to do better. If you tell it, never mind, I'm tired, it's just going to go along with what you say. It's never going to tell you that you have to keep going or you need this or you have to do that. So yeah, AI, it's taking away what we're supposed to go through in certain stages and trying to rush the process. It's trying to shorten everything down. It also goes back to the point of research. In terms of AI, if you ask AI, it'll give you directly what you want. If you ask Google, it'll answer you, but it'll also give you links of how you can better explain the point that you want to come across with. Like if I ask it, for example, what are the advantages of going to school? If I ask AI, it will tell me that school is good for you. School will do this for you. But if you go on Google, you get okay. Wait, let me try another question. What are the advantages of going to a certain school? So AI will just give you, oh, this school is the top. It's top in Zim. But if you go on Google, it'll be like this school is good for this. There's a school that's also good for this. So in terms of knowledge, you get more knowledge and understanding. You get more from Google, you get more from toolkits that actually give you links to other references, other places that can provide better results for what you want in the moment. And yeah, that is all.
Can I ask, because we have about 5 minutes left, I want to ask you about social media. Like what's the role of social media like in your peers in Zimbabwe? I mean, just any thoughts on social media?
I personally use it to stay in touch with my friends because all of my friends have moved out of the country now. So it's a great platform for us to just stay connected, for me to stay connected with people in my field as well. I recently started appreciating the importance of LinkedIn, for example. It allows you to see other people's advancements in the field and also what it's like a day in the life. Helps you to also plan for your future. If you're not entirely sure if that's the route that you really want to go, you can start learning from other people. Okay, this is what it's like. if you're sure about this, this is what it's going to be like for you. Here's some tips for what you can do to get yourself to that stage in life as well.
For me, unlike AI, social media has actually made it easier to do a lot of other things, connecting with another person. For example, on Instagram, if you follow a certain type of people, it'll keep referring you to more people like that, to more people in certain places. So for me, I look up to people with the really beautiful cars. So I follow a lot of people who take cars, nice cars for test drive. So I know people like Matt Watson because of that. I know SA people because of that. I know different types of. So social media has somewhat improved the way of connecting with others. It has also made it easier, whereby you don't have to meet. I don't have to meet Nandi in order for me to make an appointment. I can send a message up like, "Hi, my name is this. I do that, and I would like to meet up with you because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G." I don't have to find where Nandi is within Zimbabwe, and then go there and ask her for an appointment, and then do what I want to do. So, social media has kind of impacted our society in a good way. Yeah, that's all for me.
Okay, so I actually agree with both of you. I agree with both of you. So social media and AI nowadays, I think they're very connected. For example, even on Instagram, you there's AI-driven algorithm that can ensure that the information that you most relate to is actually the information that you see most of the times. Like if you like one video that maybe like a cooking video, that's the thing, that's what you're going to see for the next 2 weeks. So it's AI driven algorithm that ensures that it's sending you the things that you can relate to. So I think that that's the connection, one of the connections of AI and social media, and I think it's very beneficial to an extent. I do think it's very beneficial. And then also for like what Aretha mentioned about connections, in terms of social interactions, social media and AI also play a role in that, because it's for the algorithm that I mentioned, it ensures that it suggests people that you're most likely related to, maybe in a business aspect, in the business sense, or in a social sense. In terms of interests, mutual friends, things like that. So yes. And then I wanted to talk about the okay, so there's a common saying that we say. We usually say AI is the future, but then I found a report that was done by the United Nations. It's United Nations Development Report. And in that report, they kind of like rephrased the statement that AI is for the future. And they said AI is not for the future, but AI is not for the future. The future is what we choose to do with AI today, which takes me to the things that we can do as the youth or as young people in terms of ensuring that we exist in a safe world. We coexist with AI in a safe world. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about is, since I am a law student, is ensuring that there are policies that protect users of AI. So from these dangers that we've mentioned in today's sessions. So one of the things that I would suggest is that there be like a platform that ensures that there is interaction between even young people and policymakers, to ensure that they also understand what we're going through in terms of like the concerns that we have in this digital space, and so that we can work together to champion results or to champion laws that can actually protect users and at the same time regulate the developers and the companies that are responsible for these AI tools and these AI platforms, so that they can also act in a responsible manner. Or yeah, basically that's what I'm saying. So yeah, that's one of my contributions to what the youth can then do to ensure that these digital spaces are safe for us. I don't know if anyone wants to comment on that.
Yeah, I just I wanted to say we just have a few more minutes because otherwise I'll be late to opening the next one. Yeah, so but I would love to get both of your thoughts, Michael and Aretha. I really, what are your thoughts about what we can do? The question Nandi asked.
I like the point you raised, Nandi, about developing policies and stuff. I think whilst we're also doing that, educating children on the different policies, helping them understand what they mean, introducing digital literacy into the curriculum is a very serious need. Also, educating parents about digital literacy, because it seems as though I sat in an earlier session and they raised a good point. The people that give us these devices that we use are our parents. But do they themselves understand how to teach us now? Like, how do you use this in a healthy way? How do you regulate yourself? So I think there's a serious need for us to actually take action. I know my mother's an expert, just shouting out to my mom. But we need more people like that who will take initiative and educate people in our country, especially because I know we can look at a global perspective, but we need to also focus on here at home in our community. How can we better our community? So for me, it's the digital literacy issue is a really big one, because I only started learning about digital literacy from, if it wasn't from my mother, it was from my course that I studied last year. That was the first time that I came across it. So I think we need to start introducing it at earlier stages in children's lives, because it seems as though children are starting to use devices from early ages, like 5th grade now, or maybe even below.
Yeah, I also agree with what everyone has said about needing someone to guide us on how to use the things that are given to us. And also going back to what Arita said about our mom is working in the digital space where she does go to schools and she does say, yes, this is a computer, but this is how you use it safely. This no more amount of hours to do this and no more amount of hours for this, how you're supposed to sit. Such things are important because you deteriorate in health because you're on a screen continuously, you are seated uncomfortably. Like for gaming it can get really it can get really frustrating to a point where you're not even comfortable with how you're sitting because you keep losing. So there are certain limits that need to be set alongside these things where you need to have rules and regulations for these things. Yes, you got me the PC. Yes, you got me my dream PC. You got me the controllers. You got me the games. But after a certain 2 hours, the PC goes off on its own. This is for your own good. After 2 hours, you need to take at least 5 minutes outside, walk outside for a bit, get some air, and just connect with nature again. So, but yeah, that is all I have to say.
Thank you so much to all three of you, and I have to join you in shouting out to your mom. It was really, really interesting to hear your experiences and insights, and I'm looking forward to more discussions and involvement, because it's a good point, right? We've been giving people devices without telling them what to do with it, and it's really come through again and again. So thank you to all three of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
thank you for having us, ma'am.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.